from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on Ag Day, cotton prices hit fresh multi-year highs. Can it continue? Milk is facing tough competition from other bottled beverages. And in agribusiness, can dairy exports push prices?
That fell short, opened up the door for other people to participate, Europe and U.S. specifically.
And getting healthy in the South.
Ag Day, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Glenn Griffiths. Markets will resume today following the holiday weekend, and cotton growers will be watching to see if the recent price rally continues. The cotton-adjusted world price hit its highest mark since 2012 last week, climbing to near $77 per hundred. The rally coming as cotton acres continue to be planted. Strong demand in the face of steady to lower world production has those prices strengthening.
One of the things we are seeing, though, globally is the fact that cotton demand is increasing again. USDA in the current marketing year has world consumption plugged in at around 120 million bales. That's up about 4% from where we were a year ago, and I think we've got the potential to see further growth.
As of last week, about half of the crop had been planted, just ahead of the 5-year average. Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, the only states in the Southeast running behind the 5-year average. Heavy rains and tropical moisture slowing down planting in recent weeks. Strong prices and demand has cotton farmers searching for equipment. With U.S. cotton acres forecast to grow, equipment is getting harder to come by, especially for smaller growers.
So many people have sold their cotton equipment, right? It's not unusual to go down the road and see module builders and so on just parked for sale. Now people want them. So to get back in the game is super, super tough. That lends itself to the big acreage cotton growers.
Equipment dealers like Hearst Farm Supply in Texas say cotton equipment isn't sitting on lots very long, especially the new cotton equipment that bales on the go.
So if we get a trade-in on a good used one, we have several customers in line wanting one, so we'll take those names, we'll put them in a hat, we'll draw them out, and we'll call the customer to purchase them.
He says that interest is bleeding over to used equipment as he traded for 30 of the newer harvesters this year. Those machines were sold before the equipment even made it to the dealer lot. Meanwhile, the China trade discussion continues. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross is set to visit China at the end of this week, June 2nd through the 4th. His delegation focusing on resolving trade issues between the two nations. Now, last week, several reports say China could double the amount of ag goods purchased each year, along with $50 to $60 billion in energy purchases from the U.S. On that trade front, dairy exports are picking up pace, and that's helping drive milk prices to near break-even levels for producers. But competition is tough in the dairy aisle. A glass of milk now faces more bottled beverages than ever before. And as Tyne Morgan reports, it's a trend the industry is fighting to change.
A trip to the grocery store or convenience store today can often be complicated, with consumers often overwhelmed by the choices.
We look at the beverage choices today. We are living in a culture of choice.
Since the 1970s, fluid milk consumption has dropped 11 gallons per person, and milk's biggest competitor today may surprise you.
Water is our #1 competitor.
Bottled water consumption was forecast to reach 391 billion liters by 2017, a sharp jump from the 212 billion liters consumed in 2007. While bottled water is growing in popularity, IDFA says it's looking into changes in consumer buying habits.
Today we have over 15 choices. We have a change in society. We're not sitting down for breakfast like we were in the 70s with eggs and bacon and a glass of milk, or maybe like we were in the 80s or 90s with a bowl of cereal and banana and glass of milk, and milk over the cereal. We're now grab and go.
It's a grab and go mentality that industries like dairy are catering to, with milk products that have extended shelf life and are easy to consume on the run.
I think we're trying to see that. We're seeing that in the yogurt side, maybe more drinkable yogurts. We're seeing that in squeezed pouches.
It's not just a change in the product, but also a change in the packaging, adding to the need to compete with bottled water's change in appearance as well.
Do you want it in a square bottle? Do you want it in a round bottle? Do you want one with a flip lid? Do you want one with a screw lid? Now, those are all things, until we step back and think about those, that's innovation not just in the product, that's innovation in packaging. And we got to think about that in terms of dairy.
The confusion with consumers also starts at home. A recent survey by the Innovation Center for U.S. Dairy found 7% of all American adults think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. That's 16.4 million consumers who have no idea how their milk is produced.
So what our focus has been is that as we see the rise of these imitation dairy products made from plant sources, that people understand that they are not getting the same amount of nutrition when they buy an almond beverage or a nut juice as when they are buying real milk.
It's the wholesome products dairy groups say give their industry a competitive edge.
And a lot of it has to do with making certain that we have the best available product in the places where people are going to consume it, whether that's in the school lunch program, at sporting events. It's reminding people that milk is a food and it provides a unique nutritional profile that a lot of other foods can't replicate.
Dykes says it's a conversation also entering the Farm Bill, with IDFA pushing to get more dairy into SNAP.
There's nothing as nutritious as a glass of milk. Only 1 in 10 Americans are getting the recommended 3 servings a day of dairy. About nearly half the households, SNAP recipient households, have children. So we think it's good policy, we think it's good nutrition.
Expanding choice that could serve up new options to all consumers, with the ultimate goal of driving new demand around the globe.
Lawmakers are set to vote on proposed immigration legislation next month following a push from the Freedom Caucus during that recent Farm Bill vote. The administration also getting on board, proposing rules to streamline the H-2A visa program for agricultural workers. Now, the administration releasing a statement late last week that it's working on rules and new incentives for agribusinesses and growers. It also wants to put USDA in charge of the H-2A program rather than the Department of Labor. Now, the goal is to finalize the changes in time for that 2020 growing season.
As everything in politics, you want to see where the devil is in the details, but we are certainly heartened at United Fresh by the administration's action to take some steps to improve the H-2A program.
Details are still coming out. Western growers say they're concerned E-Verify may be part of the proposal.
If you enact E-Verify before you enact legislation which gives us an adequate, stable legal workforce, you lose all of those people to E-Verify and you're out of business. So why would you put the cart before the horse? We've never objected to E-Verify. We support E-Verify because we want our workers to be legal. But give us a legal tool to hire these workers so that when we go through E-Verify, we don't have to discharge people.
The agencies did not specify when proposed changes could occur. Let's check back with Farm Country, today's crop comments. We have meteorologist Mike Hoffman. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Clinton. Jason Greaves sending us a photo of plant emergence in McCartyville, Ohio. He planted on May 7th. The drought monitor shows none of Ohio is abnormally dry. Over in Union County, Kentucky, Lauren Turley telling us she's baled wheat and ryegrass hay. Thankfully, she got it baled before the rain fell in that area. None of Kentucky is abnormally dry either. And taking a look at the drought monitor, there are dry areas, obviously, a few pockets in South Texas, but obviously the Panhandle, on into western Oklahoma, southwestern Kansas, into the Four Corner region, the driest part of the country as we head into this coming week. We'll check out your forecast coming up in just a few minutes, but first here are some hometown temps.
Keeping track of the shifting market prices has never been so easy. Get the latest commodity prices sent directly to your cell phone with market updates. Just text Markets 8 to 31313 to get started.
When we come back, a closer look at not just dairy demand, but dairy markets. Mike North joins us with more. And later, we're off to dinner in Tennessee, where one town is taking its unhealthy culture head on. The dairy industry is hoping for a better second half of the year, and recently that trend has started to emerge. Tyne Morgan has more from the road.
Here now with Mike North of Commodity Risk Management Group. Well, at the Indianapolis 500 Speedway and on race day, of course, it's milk that celebrated that winning glass of milk handed over to the winner of the race. But milk in 2018 has had headwinds, to say the least, as we look at the changing landscape of dairy. However, as of late, we've kind of seen milk prices tick higher. What is causing prices to climb at this point, Mike?
Exports have been the leading story on that conversation. That's been helped by the fact that New Zealand had a little smaller production year than what was earlier anticipated. If you go back to last fall, they had a little bit of a rough summer there as we came through December, January. Production fell off. That fell short, opened up the door for other people to participate, Europe and U.S. specifically, and the U.S. picked up a little bit more market share in terms of dairy export demand than what we'd had in the past. Right now we're looking at, on a solids basis, 16 to 17% of U.S. milk supply allocated towards exports. That's a big step forward.
How is that translating into price, though? Are we seeing break-even prices for producers at this point?
We're not. We ultimately are still stuck in areas that are slightly below break even for most, but as we get towards summer, milk prices there are showing us values that are at or above break even. So there's a little promise on the horizon. Really
quickly, for producers out there, are you kind of inviting them to go ahead and take advantage of some of these prices, or saying hold off?
We are. We have to respect the fact that upper $16, $17 milk in the last several years has been hard to break through. So some protection under this market makes good sense.
Mike North, thank you so much. Stay with us. We'll be back more with Ag Day in just a moment.
Cut through the uncertainty in the markets. Give Mike a call at 608-764-0012.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Your meteorologist Mike Hoffman looking at rain over the past week or so. Now, we didn't get everything that fell over the weekend, but boy, there's a lot of wet out there.
Right. This is just a week ago Saturday through this past Friday, and you can see there was already a lot of rain in many parts of the country. Of course, early next week, we'll be able to show you how much rain fell from Alberto as it came into parts of the southeast, which will add to this, obviously. But even during this 7-day stretch, you can see pockets of Florida had huge amounts of rain. Parts of Alabama and Georgia as well. Over into the plains, even some of the drought areas ended up with nice rains. But, you know, it didn't hit everywhere. If you live near or north of Lubbock, it looks like almost nothing. That would really upset you, obviously, if areas east and west of you got 3 or 4 inches of rain. Then you can see that pocket southeast Kansas into central Missouri. That area is also dry, so maybe we'll see the drought monitor change a little bit. And you can see over most of the Corn Belt, pockets got some moisture. Others didn't get much at all. All right, here's the jet stream. We can see the cutoff low in the northwest of the Four Corner region. Also the energy from Alberto coming northward as we head through the week. Kind of a jumbled mess there. One storm in the northern plains, and of course Alberto, the remnants of Alberto in the southeast. And then those two troughs kind of come together. Ridge builds back up in the western plains, eastern Rockies as we head through late in the week, and that ridge keeps building. This could be a little bit of a cool down as we head into the following week. However, this week, it's not going to be cool at all. Above normal in most of the eastern 2/3, eastern 3/4 of the lower 48. I'm going near normal in the southeast just because the ground's very moist. And that always kind of keeps temperatures down a little bit, even though it takes the humidity levels up. Below normal only in the Pacific Northwest. Precipitation this week, definitely above normal in many parts of the southeast on up toward the Ohio River Valley, mid-Atlantic. Also above normal with that northern storm system, Montana down to Nebraska, over into Minnesota. Here's the 90-day outlook. We'll go June 1st, above normal from the Tennessee, western Ohio Valley through all of the west. Below normal, northern and eastern portions of the Great Lakes, near normal elsewhere. July temperatures below normal, northern and eastern Great Lakes. Above normal then for the southeast and the western states. And I'm keeping it pretty much the same as we head into August. That looks like the pattern that we'll be in for the second half of the summer. With a fair amount of the country above normal, but generally south and west. 90-day outlook for precipitation, Mississippi Valley, western Great Lakes down into the southeast above normal, below normal for the northern Rockies, northern California, and the Pacific Northwest. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. Heading to Portland, Oregon, first of all, clouds and some sunshine, high of 67 degrees. Kansas City, Missouri, partly sunny, hot and humid, high of 92. And finally, Charleston, West Virginia, warm and humid. There is a chance of a thunderstorm, high of 86.
We'll continue today's dairy conversation, including a look at recent NAFTA negotiations and the potential impact for U.S. dairy. And later, this Tennessee town is trying to change its unhealthy culture, and Extension is helping. In the Dairy Report, Mexico's President Enrique Peña Nieto expressing optimism late last week for reworking the 24-year-old NAFTA agreement. One of the biggest sticking points remains market access in Canada for the U.S. dairy industry. Now, experts say they're hopeful dairy won't be left out, but no, Canada isn't going to fix prices here at home.
The producers that I talk to in Canada say, we're not here to support the overproduction of the U.S. milk supply. Canada is not necessarily the savior for U.S. milk production. There's certainly other countries that we can export products to, so Canada isn't necessarily the end-all be-all for solving the U.S. oversupply of milk.
While exports are part of the profit picture on U.S. dairies, feed costs are also an important component. While grain prices rally, analysts say dairy producers need to be paying attention to their feed supplies and feed costs in 2018.
Profitability is a function of both feed costs, largely on the input side, and milk price. And so if we have a runaway on the grain market, that's going to keep pressure on that profitability all through the summer. So one thing that would be helpful is a great crop year, an abundant supply of feedstock. If there's plenty of feed in the country, that will help maintain a little better profitability going into the fourth quarter.
North says he hopes exports will give the market a nudge to keep third quarter prices stronger as well. All right, when we come back, trying to improve life through better health.
I'm Charles Denny. A Tennessee community looks to build a culture of health. Pickett County, Tennessee is selected to be part of a nationwide program on improved living. That story next on AgDay.
In the Country, sponsored by Kubota. Tractors, hay tools, utility vehicles, mowers, and more. Visit KubotaUSA.com today.
It's an unfortunate fact, but states in the Southeast are often at the bottom of the list for healthiest communities. But some rural Tennessee towns are trying to change that trend. They're looking to build a culture of health, and Extension is helping. In this report provided by the UT Institute of Agriculture, Charles Denny shows us how partnerships are encouraging fitness and better nutrition.
A library doesn't have to be a quiet place all the time. These second graders at Pickett County K-8 school squeeze in a little wiggling and dancing between book lessons. The video game with movement is called a brain break. Deanna Dickerson says when you've been sitting at a desk all day, you need some physical freedom.
Well, it's a lot of fun because you've been working hard all day and it feels like you deserved it. I want to do it.
You do?
Yep.
Why do you want to do it?
It's fun.
Educators here say a physically healthy child will learn more effectively.
And so as they first come into the library, I encourage them to, okay, we're going to get up and move our bodies to kind of get our minds fresh so we can enjoy what we're going to be learning in the library today. And we call it brain breaks and wiggle time.
Stephanie Norris is a community leader for a health-related program coming soon to her hometown. Here, Pickett County will partner with the National 4-H Council and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the nation's largest health philanthropy. Pickett was one of 3 Tennessee counties selected for this program. The other 2 are Coffee and Meigs. Community leaders here in Byrdstown believe this area has the potential and desire to build a culture of healthy living. UT and TSU Extension have programs like Walk Across Tennessee, encouraging people to get moving. But some rural areas don't have health clubs or a lot of places where people can exercise.
And health is a major issue for everyone.
UT Extension agent Amanda Woody will use grant funds to develop an action plan for Pickett. A local coalition will address issues like fitness for children and adults, prevention of chronic diseases, and reducing health care costs.
I'm really excited to be able to do a community needs assessment to see what the people here think that we need. Some people may think we need to focus on physical activity. Some people may think that we need to focus on nutrition and better eating.
Add mental well-being, and all 3 areas are important for the future of this community. And here is your future. Healthy kids who can become healthy adults. Opportunity, potential, and a changed culture. This is Charles Denny reporting.
Thanks, Charles. This program with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation looks to improve health in 1,000 communities across 5 states: Tennessee, Maryland, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Utah. That's all the time we have for this Tuesday morning. We're sure glad you tuned in, spend part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.